will ask is that the mentors shortly give an introduction. We're live now. So I was just giving the mentors a little bit of prep before we go live. But we are live. It's Thursday, April 30th. And I welcome all our viewers back. It's been an extraordinary week. Our Twitch channel, since Monday when we launched, has got already over 100 subscribers. So we're at 112 subscribers. According to Twitch, this is quite phenomenal growth, and I already received an email to become an affiliate at Twitch. I don't know what that means. I'll check it out on the weekend. We're streaming from Frankfurt, Accelerator Frankfurt, from the Frankfurt Rhein-Main region. This is the region, they're one of our supporters, our sponsors who are making this a reality, to have the live stream. Maria and I are here on the cover of the magazine. Awesome. I want now not to take further time to have the mentors give a short introduction to our startup Valega, which is live every day at 12 p.m. CET. So please, let's start with Rita, please. You're the first, and go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Ram. Yes, I'm Riitta Mynttinen, born in Finland, live currently in Germany. I perform as a non-executive director for a few companies that deal with food, electrification of transport and paints. And I also have some angel investments. I have been involved with FIBAN as a member for about 5 years in Finland. And also I've been involved with the Accelerator Frankfurt from the beginning. And prior to my current role, I had different operational roles globally with 2 American companies, mainly in the chemicals industry. And why am I here with the Accelerator Frankfurt? Is basically that they look into the future. Some of these technologies like blockchain can be used in many other areas and has a lot of potential, and I'm interested to learn myself about that more, but also to use maybe some contacts with the companies I'm involved with. So that's it, Frank.
Awesome. Thank you. Lucy, good morning, and thank you for being one of our partners in this program, Helaba Digital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So is it morning at you for you?
Sorry. Yeah. It's morning. Where is it morning? Nowhere. Sorry.
Brazil.
So, hi, my name is Lucy. I'm the managing director of Helaba Digital. Helaba Digital is actually a subsidiary of Helaba, which is a bank, a public bank actually in Germany, in Frankfurt, and we founded the subsidiary like 2 years ago. Our main focus is on looking for startups, for corporations, and also for some investments. We are focusing mainly on startups which has some connection with our business model. We are a B2B bank mainly. So that means we are looking for corporate finance, we are looking for real estate finance. We also are interested in cash management solutions, as well as like process innovations, data and analytics, and also of course all the main topics like use cases for corporate bank in case of it's big data, it's cloud, it's also blockchain related, and also artificial intelligence. So that's like the portfolio. So what we are not really interested in is like retail business, directly customer business. So that's actually not in our focus. Yeah, well, we are supporting the Accelerator Frankfurt, of course, because you are based in Frankfurt, so that's one of our interests too. So Ram, Maria, and me, we have a lot of contact regarding different startups. So I'm very glad to support you here now in this new format, and I'm very looking forward to hear what the startups you have chosen have to offer and what new ideas we can see here.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And yes, thank you for the support, Lucy. You're one of the main banks here in Frankfurt that has opened its doors to our startups to meet them and also run some pilots in some occasions. So great. Karl from Bad Homburg, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Ram. Yeah, Karl, I'm located in Bad Homburg, close to the city of Frankfurt, Rhine-Main area, and I'm as mentor with Accelerator since about 2 years. My profession is I'm principal public finance at Capgemini, international management and IT consultancy. And I bring in professional experience from 2 sides, actually. From the one side is financial services, because I was head of financial communication at AXA Insurance Company here in Germany. And later I switched roles and got into politics. And I was then 6 years mayor and city treasurer of the city of Bad Homburg. And now in my position at Capgemini, I bring both experiences together in doing consultancy for ministries of finance at federal and state level. And though that's what you're doing with blockchain is really interesting for me, because especially Valega, because that's an interesting aspect on regulation with regulators like FCA, like BaFin, which are in scope of my consultancy business. So I'm really anxious and looking forward to hear what you can offer and to understand better what your services are, because blockchain technology, technological platforms on big data, on artificial intelligence are in scope of my consultancy business.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Mr. Hassan Sobi, nice to see you. You are muted. Wait, I can help unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
You unmuted me. Great, Ram. Ram is always a great help. Thanks. Hassan Sobi. So I'm a lawyer, a German qualified lawyer based in Frankfurt with Taylor Wessing, which is an international law firm with a strong tech focus. I do a lot of venture capital. I've been doing venture capital type of investments now for over 20 years, I'm afraid. I also have been a mentor with Ram, and we've been a support of Accelerator Frankfurt quite early on. And we genuinely like, as a firm, and personally, Ram and Maria, I think they're a great addition to the Frankfurt ecosystem, to the whole Rhine-Main ecosystem. And I also like the format, I must say. this thing, you know, the Zoom thing, and the Twitch, you know, it's very innovative, and it works. So happy to be here. What can I bring maybe as a mentor, apart from, you know, trying to give you some guidance maybe when it comes to fundraisings and the legalities of that? Even though you may not be a German company, I can still give you sort of, you know, a feel for market developments and things like that. The other thing, I'm on the board of a couple of companies. None of them fintech and none of them sort of blockchain, but still maybe just coming from the perspective of a board member, I can also give you some insights. And thirdly, always happy to contribute my network, which, you know, is available. And if you point me in the right direction, I'm always happy to jump across the ditch and try to get somebody on the other side to help you.
Thank you, Hassan. Very nice to have you all. Actually, it's quite amazing that I'm always biting my nails 1 minute before we go live to see if the mentors show up to the calls. And touch wood, all has gone without failure. All mentors are there. So it's awesome. We're doing something right. Okay, we're going to have about 45 minutes now. The floor is Valega's floor. They are operating in a field which does have a lot of regulation. So it's good to have you, Hassan, from the legal side. They are looking for partners and multipliers, such as Capgemini, for example, as well as raising some financing. Sven, the floor is yours. 46 minutes, actually, so it's good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for being here. My name is Sven Martinsen. I am the co-founder and CEO of Valega Chain Analytics. And as you might have heard a little bit of what we do, it's actually compliance within the blockchain, and mainly the financial transactions happening in these. So in the past years, we have seen a great increase in the use of blockchain technology in many sectors, not the least within the financial sectors as well. We see, for example, the major exchanges are trading on a daily basis with billions of dollars. We see banks coming in and starting to really look into what's the kind of aspects of this technology which can be used for future financial instruments. And of course, even in transactions, when we have, for example, SWIFT transactions happening, looking at the R3 Corda blockchain and the likes. But with all this, we saw quite a big increase in not only the innovations, but also within crime. And this, of course, harms blockchain technology, but also the people who are just regular traders. So I'm going to share my screen here real quickly so that you can take a look at our canvas. I don't know if you've seen any of these before, but our business canvas has been changing throughout these few days, and we have then identified the problems throughout the years which we have been working of compliance within blockchain, right? And most of it is the lack of compliance tools, not only for those who are actually working in the blockchain, but those who are starting to experiment with the technology. There's lack of knowledge how blockchain works in these new financial times.
Ben, can you zoom in a little bit? Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, there we go. There's been, of course, a lack of communication between fintechs, law enforcement, and financial institutions to really see, like, where is the problems? How do we get to the bottom of financial crime that is happening? Many of the new customers or the new players in the field, they don't really keep in mind the regulations that are actually coming. So they're not prepared when they happen. And that has, of course, led to quite a lot of problems for companies who are in the startups, SMEs, and the likes. And of course, standard things like reporting tools for law enforcement, and also the ability to be able to filter out illicit transactions and categorize them yourselves as potential clients. So what we set out to do was actually to build a tool that does all of these things. So we wanted to have a tool that's easy to understand, intuitive, and can be used by a standard case agent. For example, if it's in an insurance company, in a bank, or somebody who's working with cybercrime, it should be easy to use, right? The tools that are out there right now, they're very complex. You need to have some form of forensic investigative background to be able to use them. And not only that, but you also have to really understand how blockchain works to be able to kind of trace and do investigations. So we wanted to make that super easy. So our tool has been very automated. It is very intuitive, and through machine learning technology, we have been able to find the proper algorithms to really bring in an added value to companies, as well as even come to the point where we can white label them very easy, and this to fast API integrations. So that brings us a little bit to the value propositions that we have.
Sven, if I may add, and please, mentors, feel free to also cut if something's not clear yet. But blockchain has not seen yet mass adoption, but it is getting there. And the World Economic Forum actually did a study that suggested that blockchain technology will become mainstream by 2027. And financial institutions in particular are exploring uses of this technology in everything from digital assets, putting real estate on the blockchain, tokenization, bonds, stocks, and so forth. But at the same time, you need to have some sort of, for a financial institution, compliance is key. You need to know that with who you're dealing and that those dealings are actually clean. And this has been, as Sven, and I wanted to just highlight it for our viewers as well, who are not so familiar with this. And that's why Valega is positioned at the moment, at the right time, at the right place. Correct?
Yes, absolutely. And it couldn't be a better timing because we just had this 5 AMLD, so the fifth anti-money laundering directive coming in. It was on the 10th of January. And this is a pretty big topic for financial institutions, exchanges, anybody working with cryptocurrencies. They have to be compliant. I mean, this is, I heard somebody telling me when we were approaching some of these partners, they were telling me, yeah, like this 5-MLD, that's like GDPR on cocaine, right? And it really has been, and people have not really been prepared for this in the same way as it was with GDPR, except that this is now financial compliance. So it's very important to really have the tools and the knowledge now rather than later. So, or, you know, better to put out the fires now than when it's really turned into a huge scandal. We saw that a lot of banks, for example, the Baltics were involved in this massive money laundering scandals, right? And technology like this could provide the knowledge to prevent this in the future. And especially now that we see there was 40 banks that applied to become Bitcoin brokers. And with that, it's necessary to have technology that can really look into this. And this is what we do. We do real-time analysis, monitoring, we do the forensic investigations. We allow for quick and easy kind of reporting to the law enforcement when necessary, when a suspicious transaction has happened. And we can really cater to not only the small holders, but also the bigger companies who are in need of doing quick compliance within this.
Sven, can I ask a quick?
Oh,
sorry. No, Lucy, go ahead. Lucy, go ahead.
Thank you. I have from the banking point of view, I've already a question. So, are we talking more about like, because you mentioned it's blockchain? Is it blockchain in general, like all the trades? Is it like let's say export finance, for example, or are we mainly talking about cash?
Yeah,
like
so,
Bitcoins and you know, just so know where to put it in my head.
Absolutely. So yeah, we are talking about the cash. So we are talking about cryptocurrencies at the moment, and we have in our roadmap plan to be able to do this on a bigger scale when it comes to the actual trades going on within banks as well. We have seen, for example, Nordea here in the Nordics. They have used the WeTrade platform when they're doing standard standard transactions, and that information is of course available. That's the beauty of blockchain, that all the information is there. We just have to be able to categorize them. So that is in our roadmap, but at the moment it is Bitcoin, which is or cryptocurrencies, which is
because I'm asking because we already have some initiatives with some blockchain consortiums. And like it's for example Marco Polo and this kind of things, and there it's mainly on the trades side, like receivable finance and so on, but we do not see some cash on ledger yet, so that's why I'm asking actually.
Of course. Yeah,
but it's more in the question. Bitcoin. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question I think has been answered probably by what you've been saying. When you mentioned earlier, Sven, that crime was a topic, my immediate reaction was that we were talking about fraudulent transactions happening on the blockchain or hacking into the blockchain and stealing money and things from the blockchain. And then you were talking about compliance, and I was asking myself, is this more about compliance, i.e. making sure that if transactions happen, they are compliant with regulations, so no money laundering transaction, things like that. And I've now gathered this has nothing to do with crime that is happening on the blockchain, so to speak. So people hacking in and stealing money. It's not a cybersecurity tool, it's more a compliance tool.
Yeah, exactly. So what it really is it starts off as the AML and counter financing of terrorism tool, right? That is the main thing. But of course, throughout our development, we have seen that our tool can actually be applied to things like cybercrime, because we do work with law enforcement. We do collaborate with them as much as possible. And especially now during these COVID-19 times, we have seen quite a big spike in cybercrime in the sense of ransomware and things like that. So what we have been also working on is looking at these kind of ransomware issues, right? So we can do like the incident response, and we actually have them right here a little bit on our customer segments. So the main kind of customers we look at are exchanges and financial institutions, but of course collaboration with law enforcement is key, so that we always know exactly what is needed, what do the police need, what data can we provide for them so that they can get to the bottom of things when something happens. And we do the reports for them. You know, we do a forensic investigation. But this also can be used for cybersecurity. So working together with companies who are in the cybersecurity sphere, entering their portfolios, being a part of their incident response when it comes to ransomware is of course something we can also provide.
So that means actually that's the forensic research, what you do in the financial services for example, the KYC processes on which you report to financial intelligence units, which findings you have in your reporting based on such research which you did.
Yeah, and we actually have a tool for that as well. We have a tool called the Pathfinder, very intuitively named, where we actually do the follow the money trail. We can also, the whole point is that our database is so vast. We have been able to allocate them to so many different entities, actually 207 million associations with entities around the world. And this can be everything from the dark market for financial crime, drug purchases, weapons purchases. Most recently, we have been working with a big child abuse case on trying to trace these down. So of course, these all fall into that same category, and it can be used for the forensic investigations as well. And hopefully, our biggest thing is to be able to help the law enforcement keep our clients compliant, as well as be able to provide the prosecutors with data that is readable, useful during an actual prosecution, for example.
Okay. Did you already have contact to financial intelligence units or the Egmont group?
Not that group, no. We have been working now with the Nordics mainly, and it is the police, right? It's the police which we have been sharing information with. There has been some things that we have received from, for example, the Financial Action Task Force, in the sense of how we could optimize our tools to make it easier for the police to work, but of course even eventually also Interpol, Europol. So really to try and get this into one kind of package. And of course, a big part of that is really understanding the KYC processes from exchanges, banks, and such.
Okay.
So yes, and I can actually just briefly show you the tool, give you a quick demo of it. So this is actually on our dashboard right now. So once you log in, that's what you'll find, and you will see that we actually have quite a lot of entities. Like I said, approximately 207 million and growing on a weekly basis. We have actually got the whole blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, on our servers. So this is all in real time, and our machine learning is constantly finding patterns and associating them with different entities. If they're exchanges, gambling companies, payment companies, and the like, right? And this is what it looks like when we do the full analysis, right? So 70% of trades and such happening are everything from B2B trades to actual consumer trading, all happening. 70% are just safe people who just want to go about their businesses. Approximately 25%, that's suspicious activities. And those are mostly gambling companies, mining operations, so like Bitcoin blockchain mining. Because of course that depends on what jurisdiction you're in. So we cannot just say that they're safe or illegal. So it's up to the client to really decide themselves, is this legal in my country, yes or no? And 5% is downright illegal activities. And this has grown by 1.5% in the past 3 months. And this is due to COVID-19, unfortunately. So when you actually look at the tool itself and how it actually works, it's important to note that the difference between analyzing the centralized data and decentralized data is quite different, because everything is right there right now. We can check everything. And when somebody connects through our API, for example, it would be, let's see here, if I take everything down, it would look something like this, right? You would have every transaction going through being analyzed in real time. Right now you see a lot of yellows and reds here, but that is because we actually chase after those. But most likely it will hopefully be mostly green and a few yellow transactions. But there you have the wallet addresses, right? Which is basically the bank accounts on the blockchain. So you can really look at what is going on. And importantly, for example, for banks, when they're trying to do their know your customer process, really knowing like, hey, do we have virtual asset holders? Because a lot of things that happen is actually that a lot of banks have said that, hey, we don't accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrency holders in our bank. Yet they don't really very often know that actually people are taking out fiat on their banks. It's just that it's called coming through a gambling company or through a marketing company, those kind of things. So people are still being able to do this. So it's important to really know what's going on. And for example, here you have a suspicious activity, and this company has been associated with money laundering, and you can actually just immediately get a report which shows exactly what has been going on that address. And this is real-time data right now. Of course, this is an old address, an old account. So it last thing was in 2015. And I believe that the police has already shut this one down, or they're not using it anymore. But that is very important information to have when you're working with these things. Because when you're actually then, if something goes through an exchange or your bank or whatever, then, or your entity, then you can actually be able to say, hey, I've seen this, it is suspicious. I will generate a police report. You write down the amount, the order ID, which is something specific to your company, what it was. So this was Bitcoin, and the date, the time, and then you can just very quickly, this one is now optimized for Finland and the Nordics, but you will get a very quick information that you can just attach and send to the law enforcement, and then you've done your compliance for that part. You have already reported this address, and then it goes over to the police.
But sorry, Sven, just one question. Do I have just the information that there must be some suspicious transactions, or do I get any link to the actual subject which did the transaction?
Yeah, so of course, at the moment, we are just a provider of data, and we don't want to link this to personal identities. So you will actually just get the information of that address so it's happened on your exchange. So you probably know who this person is, who's the holder of this, if you've done your KYC. So you will then report the suspicious transaction, because that is the obligation, for example, for exchanges with the 5 AMLD. So if there is a suspicious transaction, you have to report this. So you will get this information, and the information that is there for the police is going to be received by them, and they have to contact the exchange, and then it's just standard police work, and that's then their process of how I do it. But at least the company will have been compliant with that part, And you can, of course, trace down and look more at the transactions, how they have been going on. I think, yeah, for example, you have some pretty big ones. I think there's even a Finnish ransomware that came through here just a few weeks ago. So we can provide that much information. But then we also do have the forensic tool, which is this one that you see right here. I've already played around with it a little bit so I could find myself an exchange. So let's say that somebody made a payment to coinpayments.net. You type in that address, and this one has been a legit transaction, right? But many times it's not. But then here, quite quickly, we could see that they did an exchange with this company called CoinMotion, which is actually a Finnish one, a Finnish exchange. and they have probably done their, they have, no, not probably, they have most definitely done their KYC because they are compliant. So then when there is a suspicious activity, actually, it's up to the police then to be able to contact CoinMotion. They have all the information and they can then say, hey, we need a warrant to see who this identity is of this person. And in this case, they would receive, oh, this is coinpayments.net. And then that's what that was. But we do see that there has been, after that, people who have been sending them to some suspicious places. For example, here you do have that gambling entity that keeps on popping up. And another one which has also been associated with money laundering before. And in general, you can really just follow the money trail. You can actually keep on following the money trail, and it actually opens up all the transactions in the exact visual representation of what's going on the blockchain right now. For example, this account has received 121,000 euros. That's quite a lot. And those are just random that we just picked out. It has received quite a lot of money, but it has been legal transactions since February. And these information is important when you're doing these kind of responses for incident response, or just knowing your customer, knowing how much assets they have, and the like. So that's basically how the tool works from our end. And we of course do the forensics for clients when needed. And that's of course a much deeper one, and you get an actual full report of a few pages where you see the patterns, what has happened, why this is suspicious, where the different exchanges have been, and the likes.
So that means that from a bank point of view, that would be like relevant in the first step for me when we would have a crypto trading license. Right?
Absolutely.
And then I could have a look like who is trading, and can see like the special unit, for example, can see okay.
Exactly.
And then
exactly.
the next step, like the Pathfinder, that would be more for, let's say, the law enforcement, police.
Exactly. But then the banks do that first part.
Yes.
And that's already staying compliant. And when you do then take in customers, if you have an exchange, for example, who becomes a customer, they're transacting millions of dollars daily through their exchange. So it's important to really know what they are exchanging. And once they do extract that money from your bank as cash for their standard revenues, then it's important to know, like, hey, have they been compliant? Do we really know them as a customer? So that is extremely useful tool to have on the onboarding process. And even if a bank themselves decide to broker with Bitcoin, they can monitor every transaction that is coming in and going out.
Okay.
Another thing also that I want to emphasize is that we are also now, for example, we had an event in February where we're also teaching sort of banks to look into their KYC policy and actually ask new onboarding clients and if they possess virtual assets, because so that they're not using the banking platform as a money laundering sort of hub. And this is actually now we're getting some good sort of feedback that things are going on, and they're trying to now really change their policy now so that they can really know that so that they have a defense system for that part also. And of course the trading and Bitcoin license, it's good that we get some new banks and players in there, but also for the other part of defense, so that's big.
And we do see that Germany is kind of leading the charge when it comes to banks becoming Bitcoin and cryptocurrency brokers in general. So I think now would be the time to really show everywhere that, hey, they already have the tools, they already know what they're doing, and kind of leading the charge.
What is
Sven?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the competitive situation? You have something unique here, but where are you overall?
Sven, you can go back to exactly.
Yes. So at the moment, there are a few companies who do similar things. The biggest one would be Chain Analysis. But how they work is that they will mainly give you a tool with historical database of what's going on in the blockchain, and that's about it. They're very complex to use. They are mainly targeted for forensic analysis, and even there, it's kind of hard to use, right? It's not as intuitive, but they are the first ones that were out a couple of years ago, and the other ones have basically become copies of that with a few different features, right? And the market is still pretty young when it comes to these kind of things. And what most of the competitors have done is that they have built a tool for just general analysis of blockchain, right? So you can see like how much money is going around, and then at some point you can do some monitoring to find out some risk scores. But where we have done it, we have actually taken it from the other side. We have looked at the regulations. We have focused on what regulations are coming, and then kind of built a tool to meet that regulation. And of course, a lot of it is also if we're gonna, for example, because if we're gonna be able to cater for the financial institutions, for cybersecurity companies who are looking into this, they shouldn't have to know how the blockchain works and how to be forensic investigators. That should not be the case. It should be just an easy to use tool that you can just type in an address, immediately get a response, and that's that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we see that the competitive situation has been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. So there is a timing question around this whole thing, that for you as a company to protect what you have and to get it out to the market as quickly as possible. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. I would say, of course, the market is right now. I think we positioned ourselves timing wise quite well, because again, the regulations are now, and not only that, but within the coming 5 years, you know, we're looking at, for example, Swift. They are really working with transactions on the blockchain, and they have been already testing it with major banks around the world. We have HSBC who's been testing it. Santander tested a transaction across the ocean, and using these new kind of technologies. So these are massive transactions, right? This is 300 million euros, 150 million euros going over through the blockchain. So when that starts becoming a norm, when companies are trading between each other, there has to be the tools that are staying compliant with this and are already optimized for that, because we see that happening already now. We saw ING transferred money to a bank somewhere in Singapore. I can't remember the name of the bank at the moment, but that was the first major successful transaction that went through. But of course, the amount of due diligence they had to make for that was monumental. And that should not have to be the case in a year from now or 2 years from now.
And where are you in terms of the go-to-market with this? So at least when I listen to you, it feels like your tool is pretty much ready. You are developing the contacts, so you already have the contacts, but where are you in terms of testing that you actually succeed on the go-to-market?
Yeah, so we're based out of Helsinki, out of Finland. So of course, the Nordics seemed like the first way to go. We have piloted our systems with several actors now, and we actually have one of the Finnish exchanges, which is actually one of the biggest ones in Europe, if not the world, Europe at least, who are using our service at the moment. They've been using it now for 3 months, and we actually started commercializing the tool in late October or early November. Because of course, it's taken 2 years to really develop this, and we have been able to do it with the help of Business Finland, which is then the Finnish innovation fund, and we were actually the first company to be granted that kind of funding for these kind of work directly with cryptocurrencies. So a lot of education had to go into that. They vetted us almost stricter than most companies who go through Business Finland, because of course blockchain and cryptocurrencies has been a little bit of an issue, but we made it through. So of course we do feel that it's worked, and we also just piloted our service with Vero, which is the Finnish tax authorities, and we got pretty good feedback from them.
Excellent.
But Sven, one more question, coming back again to the competitors, because the competitors you were talking about are competitors especially focused on blockchain or on cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
But what I see too is, as potential competitors are big companies like SAS, for example, which provide banks and financial services industry the platforms for doing forensic research on traditional money laundering, for example.
Yep.
So for them, it could be a very small step to provide solutions on blockchain technology. So the question is, did you think about going in cooperation with such companies? Or...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We have actually been negotiating with not them, but other companies of the likes on trying to really see where we can fit into their portfolios, because there is, of course, a need for this. A lot of those companies actually don't have as much blockchain knowledge as we would have expected either. So it was kind of an eye-opener even for us. So that's why we kind of now provide education to companies like that as well. And in the next coming weeks, we will actually be providing courses, like internal courses, for 2 pretty big law firms in the Nordics with these kind of things.
Because within their solutions, your element or your solution could be one element of the whole suite.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is, like, we actually have that here even on our canvas, where we have put their multiplier consultancies and such. Okay. So it does. And Capgemini is, of course, somebody we have been looking at as well. And now that you're here, maybe we can discuss further on that as well, because I think there could be some interesting points there, at least for cybersecurity, incident responses, and the likes there.
Okay.
Yeah, just to emphasize what Sven just said also, it's like we've been noticing for companies as SAS and other sort of centralized enhanced due diligence platforms for banking, that they have started to look at us and say like, okay, we don't really understand the decentralized economy or the infrastructure behind that, and maybe we can add value that to our current channels, and since they already have the distribution channels and the relationship in place, we're hoping to partnership with them and provide them sort of the white label solution, which is also on the canvas, while we sort of just are maintaining the database and make sure that the data is sort of always up to date and always optimized, and working on that part.
Exactly. So we can really be basically the crypto team, if that sounds kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Or both of yours, Editas.
Yeah, very interesting.
For sure, and so I basically, Carl, if you want later, we can take it on a side channel and discuss further with the team. I want to ask you guys, Valega. So, in terms of really the go-to-market. How are you're talking a lot about law enforcement, but perhaps what would a law enforcement be your ideal customer at the end of the day, or?
Well, I mean, okay, law enforcement, they are more the collaborators, right? They're where we share the information that we get on illicit activities. But of course, when it comes to customers, it is financial institutions and it is the exchanges. Financial institutions, because they are also part of the 5AMLD, and they are very much looking to start working with cryptocurrencies. And I've noticed, I think we have noticed, even now during this crisis we're going on, we have seen that even on a national level, countries are looking to virtualize the currencies and put them on blockchain. We have the United States doing that. We have Germany, of course, doing that as well, and Sweden with the e-krona. So this becomes kind of interesting, because then banks will come into this. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And once that is on the blockchain, we will be able to analyze those transactions. We will be able to help banks become compliant with that part. But for now, we're of course working with cryptocurrencies specifically, and very much Bitcoin and Ethereum, because we want to really make sure that technology is everything it can be for when 3 years from now, when this becomes a much bigger adoption, it's actually working for basically the entire financial industry, if we can hope that. And of course, Germany is a good start because of so many banks. I think it was 40 banks, correct me if I'm wrong, that were actually applying for this Bitcoin license just now in the end of 2019.
I have a further question, if that's okay. It's more on the equity side. Actually, how are you financed right now, and are you looking for other investors, or what's your plan here?
Yeah, so the whole project has been funded by the founders and also by Business Finland, the Finnish Innovation Fund. So that's basically how it's been going right now. And the final funding we got was actually from the Innovation Fund, and this R&D fund, which has been going on now for 11 months, and we're on the final month now. But yes, we are absolutely looking for the early investors to come in so that we can actually expand the team, better the tools, and really scale. So yes, we are looking for investors.
So what kind of investors are you looking for?
Well, both companies, banks, of course, are a big part of that, because we do see that is key. It's where the future kind of lies. So institutional investors and private investors. So we are actually going to be presenting at the FIBAN, which is the Finnish kind of investor association, just next week, actually, to really try and promote. So we were selected we were one of the selected companies. So that's also going to be happening.
And do you already have an amount for you want to raise in that round?
Yeah, we have actually been looking at this. So for this kind of first round, we are looking at everything between 300,000 to 700,000. That's kind of where we're aiming at, to a certain percentage of the company, and that we will disclose during this FIBAN session next week.
And maybe last question, how big is your team now?
So at the moment we're 6 people. We're bringing in one more, and he's actually a professor to like this blockchain things. He's like a really good cryptographer, and he's going to be helping us with some of the developments for the regulations. And there's a new kind of part of the system we're bringing in, which we think will be the kind of game changer, and we're going to patent that as well. So I think that will be pretty cool.
Okay. Sven, your system, you say that it's a SaaS business model. Will it be same for everybody, like for financial institutions, or can you say something about that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. So for the exchangers, this is SaaS based, right? Because they're smaller players. They don't need to white label their solutions. They just use the tool as is to do their monitoring, right? But for financial institutions, we're looking for a little bit longer kind of periods. And of course, then banks and insurance companies and such, they prefer to have the systems as their own. So those are more of like a lease with a white label integration, and then just calling on our database.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, guys, we are coming to the end of the session. You've asked really great questions, and Sven, thank you for the great presentation. I usually always end up with, we'd like to know about the team a little bit, but Lucy asked the question and we know a bit more. But you do have quite a remote team. You even have a German person, right?
We do.
To expand the German clientele, right?
Yeah, we do. He's Jens, he's our CFO, and he has been working with internationalization, mergers and acquisitions and the likes for the German market and the Nordics. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jens, but also Asia. But yeah, so he's the German one, and we also have one of the sales guys that is working is also German.
Great. Where are you based, Jens? Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you. Where is he based?
He's based out of Helsinki as well. So he's actually one of the people that are here in home base. So Jonathan, who's a co-founder and in charge of sales and business development, is also in Helsinki. I'm in Helsinki. And then we have George, our CTO, based out of Portugal. And we have our forensic investigators in Israel. So yeah, everyone everywhere.
Great. Yeah, I'm happy any of the mentors later to get your feedback. Please don't forget to write Maria and myself a little summary. This is the first startup that we've seen today. There's still 2 more to go. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Stretch yourselves, get coffees, anything you need, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes with the next company. So thank you very much, Valega. You've done well. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm Sven Martinsen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the blockchain analytics firm Valega Analytics. I'm a Swedish Brazilian and living in Helsinki, Finland at the moment. And fun fact about me is, I guess, that I'm a huge gamer nerd, like proper one. So why did I become an entrepreneur? Well, that kind of just happened. Then I did not expect that to be a thing in my life, but here we are. And we founded the company because we have been following blockchain and cryptocurrencies for many, many years and seen huge potential in this new world economy and technology. However, there's of course been a lot of issues with it in terms of trust and illicit activities going on. So we set out to build a tool and a service that actually analyzes the blockchain and provides risk scores and the such for that, and all in case of compliance and mass adoption. So what do we expect from the accelerator program is really to get out there, build a strong brand, enter the German market, which is actually booming when it comes to blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And I guess that's about it. So, stay safe and see you around.